here's Brody Brazil.
So obviously there's two totally different sides to what just happened in the National Hockey League. And from my perspective, the Arizona half is still way more interesting and compelling and worth keeping tabs on because there is a lot to be determined in the present and in the future, what does and doesn't happen for the inactive Arizona Coyotes hockey franchise. I'm not done covering this. I'm not done making videos, but for the purpose of right here, right now, we are going to spin it forward just a little bit. I want to move up to Salt Lake City and take a look at some of the news coverage from Utah about what's being said with this current and present situation and moving forward as they get an NHL team.
Utah is now home to an NHL franchise. Now the question is, what will the team be called?
That is like topic and headline number one, by the way. Not how the team came there, why they came there, how it's going to be paid for publicly versus privately. They just care about, what do we call this team?
What will the mascot be, and what are the colors?
That too.
Well, that is yet to be determined. Ryan Smith has not decided on a brand yet. He's hired the well-known branding agency Doubleday and Cartwright and has already started canvassing the community for naming suggestions, as we know.
Good idea.
Well, Smith tells ESPN it's likely the new Utah Hockey Club will play its first season with a temporary name and logo.
Interesting. I'm not sure I heard that for sure. I heard it speculated that they didn't need a name to start off their first season. And by the way, coming up with the right name and image and branding and colors and logo and mascot, I mean, that is a year-long process. You understand right now that 6 months from this point is late October. Like, they'll be well into playing hockey games by this point 6 months from now. They're on a very expedited timeline.
Smith will hold a press conference Friday with more details at Delta Center.
He did, but I don't know that we got any team name answers from that.
5 p.m. Mountain Time.
We know it's going to be Utah and Utah something, right?
And I think the reason why is because lawmakers are very insistent in the state of Utah. They said this about the baseball team. They have $900 million for a baseball stadium for Major League Baseball. But one of the conditions is the team that moves to Utah, Salt Lake City, would have to be called the Utah whatevers. They're very particular about that. Lawmakers are in the state of Utah.
And we have a lot of really good names. I mean, the internet's full of them. But like, we're looking at like what that can be, but we also don't want to rush into it. I mean, this is a one-way door where you get to do this once.
Right.
And I think with us in the league, like, we're going to run the full process. If I'm an NHL player and I'm trying to decide where to go, like, talk about a fresh start. Like, this is incredible.
The Utah Mike Trouts, little baseball crossover. They're the Bees are the AAA affiliate of the Los Angeles Angels. But no, I agree with Ryan Smith there. Like, you don't get to do this twice. You are literally setting this in concrete for many years and decades to come. So you got to get it right. There's really no turning back on this one.
So what are some realistic possibilities for a hockey team name? Well, Clark Rasmussen of DetroitHockey.net discovered on Tuesday that applications were filed with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office for trademarks on the following names. Utah Blizzard, Utah Venom, Utah Fury, Utah HC, and Utah Hockey Club.
I don't really have a favorite out of all of those, but I actually don't hate, for the interim, Utah Hockey Club. Utah HC seems like you're trying to go Euro, or you're trying to steal a soccer team's name. Fury and Venom, they kind of sound like roller hockey team names. Like, wasn't RHI, didn't they have some of those names? But watch this. I think we're going to hear a suggestion right here, right now.
There have also been some interesting fan ideas,
Yeti.
The leading one being the Utah Yeti.
Sponsored by Yeti.
Other suggestions, the Olympians, the Pioneers, the Outlaws, and a nod to the past, the Golden Eagles.
Okay.
My vote would be for the Blizzard, with the Yeti being the mascot and in the logo for the team. You guys have your favorites?
I just want to say something. So you would have the Colorado Avalanche and the Utah Blizzard? Like, very close in proximity geographically and by name. You'd have a team called the Avalanche and the Blizzard? It just seems like a bit overkill. I don't think you can take Blizzard.
Me over. I agree.
Okay. That is pretty cool. I saw one online, though. I thought it was funny. Call them the Utah Ice Jazz.
Ice Jazz.
Keep the Jazz name, just put ice in front. I know, that's ridiculous, but it's still funny.
Please no.
Thanks, JJ.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
Typical newscast humor right there from Salt Lake City. Whoops, sorry. Replayed the clip. All right, let's move on here to KSL Television.
We have team coverage for you tonight. Shara Park tracking the latest information for us.
Wow, the quad box. That's what we call this in television. 4 heads on one screen. That's a quad box for you.
About the purchase of a new franchise, Lindsay Ertz gathering reaction from fans.
And this is, by the way, when you're in the quad box, when you're a reporter on location, you do the head nod. You're like, Brody Brazil is in Tempe. I just nod until it's my turn. Watch them all nod.
Sam Farnsworth speaking with players. But first, let's set the scene with my co-anchor tonight, Ashley Moser. Ashley, the excitement really beginning to build now for this.
Daniel, no doubt there is a buzz downtown here at the Delta Center.
Isn't it the Beehive State, Salt Lake, or Utah? Buzz? Never mind.
Let's take a look really quick. In the last couple of minutes, this team has been finishing up the decal for the NHL, the logo there officially on the Delta Center.
Look how fast they put that up. I mean, they must have been making that for a while. For what Gary Bettman said about the deal didn't come through until like 2 a.m. that morning. This seemed like it was pretty planned out. And credit to the Smith Group, by the way, for being 2 steps ahead and taking care of all this stuff so they could have it up in a very timely fashion.
An exciting time as this announcement coming down just a couple of hours ago. Exciting for fans and for future fans. There's actually something that I want you guys to look at. The marquee has changed. You know how this changes with different artists coming to town, games being played. It now reads NHL in Utah, and it gives you a website where you can get tickets. That's something else we want to mention. Right now, Ryan Smith, the team owner, saying on social media, there have been 6,000 deposits so far.
By the way, that number went up to like 20-something thousand.
So there is interest. We know that. A lot of people try to get those tickets. Again, fall is when we're going to see these games to start being played. If you're interested in that, we actually have a link on our website, KSL-TV.com.
But I see it right there, NHLinutah.com.
More information there. I was kind of browsing the site. You can put how many tickets you're interested in, putting a $100 deposit down per seat. But we continue our team coverage right now with Shara Park. And Shara, you've been watching this closely all day. A big announcement. A lot of questions still up in the air, but what was finalized today?
Yeah, a lot of questions, but I think we're getting some of those here today, and we'll get more of those tomorrow as well with a press conference from the team. Now, with this deal, with the Coyote franchise, it goes inactive in Arizona, and Utah begins a new era of
somebody doing a flyover, by the way, over Delta Center?
Professional hockey. Now, a lot of money was spent on this deal, about $1.2 billion. But now that the NHL Board of Governors has unanimously approved it, owners Ryan and Ashley Smith and the Smith Entertainment Group will move the full assets of the Coyote franchise to Utah over the next few weeks and months. That means the full roster, draft picks, and its hockey operations department.
Everything but the history, basically, is going from Arizona to Utah.
Take a look at the video the NHL shared just moments after this became official.
The NHL is thrilled to be coming to Utah.
Mr. Bettman, I thought you just were under the time crunch here. I thought you didn't have any time to say anything. You had time to make a hype video.
I think this crowd is ready for hockey.
It's kind of weird, too. What clips do you show here? There was some from the LA Kings. Here's the Boston Bruins and the Ottawa Senators. Like, why not just show Coyotes highlights? But is that too soon? Like, what do you do here?
The NHL is here. Let's go, Utah.
I mean, they already made part of the promo video. They were obviously in a scenic location there, the Smiths, Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
We're ready.
They're ready.
Well, reaction pouring in on social media to this deal. Salt Lake City Mayor Aaron Mendenhall tweeting, "I can't wait for the future of our downtown and the first NHL game in Salt Lake City. This is the next step towards reinvigorating our downtown and cementing our city as the heart and hub of sports, culture, and entertainment in Utah and the Intermountain West."
Is it really called the Intermountain West? I don't know that I've ever heard that term before. I know the Wasatch Mountain Range. I'm familiar with that now. A lot of Utah videos here, but that one's new to me.
And our governor, Spencer Cox, tweeting a simple statement to that NHL video, simply saying, "Let's do this."
I mean, but what you already did, again, the reason why the NHL is coming to Utah, this is so glossed over, and that's my point in covering this news coverage. The NHL had an issue with the team in Arizona. Couldn't find a home, working on a permanent home, issues last year with the referendum vote in Tempe. The NHL was just monitoring this situation where in the first couple months of this year, the state legislature approved $900 million for either a new hockey arena in Salt Lake City and for the NBA in Salt Lake City, or to help renovate Delta Center, which it looks like that's what they're going to do, is renovate the current building and not build out a new one. My point is here, that is the reason that the NHL said, hello, Utah. And not to mention, the Smith family was ready to go. They said they could accept a team immediately. Difficult circumstances. They already own a team, so they're not new to this. My point is, none of that has really been talked about here at all. It's only how to buy tickets, what's the name going to be called, and maybe we'll see what else gets covered here. But Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah, of course Spencer Cox is hyped up about this because he and politicians just carved out $1.8 billion a couple weeks ago for professional sports to come there.
Now, Smith told the NHL the team will play here at the Delta Center. He's in the process of designing something that will host both the Utah Jazz and this new NHL team. He says that he will not rush into a new team name, logo, or colors. But as you can imagine, everyone right now has an opinion on this. Ashley, we've seen the Utah Outlaws, the Utah Yeti being pushed. I personally like the Utah Black Bears, but I also want to go on a limb here and say, why not the Utah Gila Monsters, right?
Isn't it a Gila monster? And is that a desert thing? I mean, I get it. Salt Lake City's not technically desert. Ooh, what are we doing here?
Maybe not, but a lot of people have opinions. We'll send it over to you.
A lot of ideas floating around.
Was that a knock on the desert? Was that a knock on Arizona right there?
On social media. Hey, we'll make some t-shirts. We'll see what sticks. Sure, thank you. Again, a lot of fans excited about this. We've had rumors for the last couple of weeks now. New specialist Lindsay Ayers has been talking to fans about this big announcement. All right, Lindsay, what are you hearing from people here in Utah?
Yeah, Ashley, well, I'm not sure Utah Black Bears is a name I'm on board with, but I'll let Shara have her thing. No,
shade.
Listen, fans here just excited. There is a buzz about this today. I spoke with a local shop owner, a hockey shop owner, who used 5 varies to describe how very excited he is for this team to come. And he says it just illustrates how the hockey culture here is ready for this team.
We'll see how they...
Everybody's very, 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 very excited.
There you go.
Sparks are flying in Utah, and not just from the skates being sharpened at the Cottonwood Hockey Shop in Cottonwood Heights.
People are asking me, how do we get season tickets? You know.
The guy just sharpens skates. He doesn't sell hockey tickets yet.
They're just, everybody's very, very, very thrilled to have this guy.
Very, very.
Owner Alan Greensburg says for him, there's no downside to a new NHL team coming to Utah.
A lot more opportunities for growth in youth hockey. It means business-wise for me, obviously some growth there.
I mean, I love hockey. You all know that. The state and its taxpayers are largely paying for this too. Again, I'm not sure they realize that yet.
And it also means growth, that our city is growing.
Which is good for the city, and I certainly hope that the hockey team can amplify what the Jazz are already doing downtown at Delta Center.
Both he and his customers, like Robbie Heath, celebrating the news today that the Smith Entertainment Group has purchased the Arizona Coyotes, who will play in Salt Lake starting next season.
Just ready for October.
Heath believes Utahns will coalesce around the yet-to-be-named team because up until now, there's only been Utah-adjacent NHL teams to root for.
Got the Avalanche, you've got Vegas now, you've got the Coyotes.
This guy looks like he likes one-timers.
All kind of equidistant surrounding Utah.
Plus, he says many hockey fans and players in Utah are transplants,
there we
bringing
go.
with them their team's allegiances.
The live sport is like nothing else, and I'm so glad that the people of Utah will be able to experience it.
Still love my Flyers. I'll be at the Flyers games.
Okay.
And I'm sure I'll be Utah, whatever they're going to be called, fan also.
And while the two say they understand, there are still questions around raising Salt Lake's sales tax to help owner Ryan Smith construct a place for the team to play. They say it's worth it.
It's a billionaires team, but it's also Salt Lake and Utah's team. It's our team.
It is our team, and we're excited for this team to come. Obviously, we know there are still some important questions, especially with the construction of this dual sport arena, the Delta Center behind me. We will continue to ask those questions, but for now, a really exciting day. Reporting live in Salt Lake City for KSL-5 News, I'm Lindsay Aerts. Ashley, back to you.
All right, Lindsay, thank you. It is doable. You know, we have events like Disney on Ice where they turn the court into an ice rink, so we know it can happen. But again, the logistics, everything.
Well, they play hockey at the Delta Center every October, I think. September, October, they have the Frozen Fury tournament. They invite some NHL teams. They can do it there. They just need to, I apologize, I always seem to pause people while they're blinking. They need to figure out the end seating sections, because a basketball arena is a lot shorter than a basketball court, a lot shorter than a hockey rink. So what they do is they take those seats out. It just doesn't work with obstructed seating and views. And so they need to figure out a way to make that lower bowl fit really well for basketball and also really well for hockey. That's the biggest thing, I suppose, in addition, a practice facility for this hockey team and a couple other things. So they do have some things to iron out, but I don't know in terms of questions of can they pull this off? Of course they can. They can pull this off easy starting this September and October. Is it going to be optimal immediately? No, but they'll obviously be able to take care of that in the long run.
Still a lot of questions here with today's announcement. But again, we want to know about the players. Who are we welcoming to the state? And for that, we go to new specialist Sam Farnsworth in Arizona tonight. All right, Sam, you've talked to a bunch of players. We understand this is a younger team, and we're not too far from Arizona. So yes, it is a move, but not a big move, right?
I mean, I think the desert to the mountains like this is a little bit different, but no, I mean, and that's interesting, right? They are just figuring out who exactly their hockey team even is.
Yeah, it's not a huge move for these guys, and it's an exciting time for them and for the fans to get this youthful bunch of players. You know, as the NHL Board of Governors did approve that sale of the Arizona Coyotes to Ashley and Ryan Smith this afternoon, with that, they also approved the transfer of the entire roster and set of draft picks to Ashley and Ryan Smith for them to start their own hockey franchise in Utah. So if you've seen the Coyotes play a game this season at all, then you've seen those players that will be on the ice this fall for this Utah hockey team. And in the midst of this, it's certainly been a tough time for Arizona fans and the Coyotes organization. There's still a certain level of excitement surrounding this move, though, especially from the players. These players, they'll get to play in an arena with 3 times the amount of fans than what they've been used to.
Yeah, but it's still not perfect, and I don't know that you can speak for everybody on that they're all really pumped. Maybe that's what they told you. That's a hard one to proclaim, right? That you're encompassing everybody's feelings, and yeah, anything is 3 times bigger than Mullet Arena. The proper NHL arena is almost 5 times, so 4 to 5 times as big as Mullet Arena. So I get it. It's a more permanent situation, but I would hesitate to speak for everybody.
They'll get to play for an owner that's eager to invest in the team.
Well, that part might be a lot more true.
And in spite of what the Coyotes fans were chanting last night about Salt Lake City.
Yeah, the chant was Salt Lake sucks, I think.
These players told us that they actually really like Utah.
Oh, we'll get to hear from some of that. By the way, given the emotional state of the fans and the nature of how things unfolded, I don't blame them for anything they said in game, whatever it was, home game 41 in Tempe. I do not fault them at all for feeling any type of thing or way or saying things. And if the extent of what they did was chant Salt Lake sucks, that's mild considering what those fans have been through. So I will have their back in that. And I hope that Salt Lake City can brush that off and understand it just as easily.
They want to do something big there, and there's a plan already set up, and the people there are excited. So
we're all excited to go. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I really like Salt Lake City. We stop every year on the drive in, and I had an Airbnb booked in Sundance for the drive home. So I'm excited for Salt Lake City. I will miss Arizona, but if you're gonna move, it's a good place to go.
All right, so 2 players spoke on it, and obviously they're caught in the middle. It's their bosses, their new bosses. What are they going to say? No, I don't like this, and I don't like the new owners, and I don't like anything. I mean, right? Anyway, I don't want to make too big of a deal out of that.
Yeah, I'm a little biased, but I would say so as well. It is a good place to go now.
And Sam, I think it was Sam is this person's name. I don't blame you, Sam. Like, you're just doing your thing, and I don't mean to be critical here, so I totally get it, and I know who you're broadcasting to. Totally understandable.
Who are these players and why should we be excited about the future of this franchise? I'll have that coming up a little bit later on in sports. Ashley?
All right, Sam, looking forward to that. We're
There you
excited
go.
to get to know them and welcome them to the Beehive State. We're excited for the future generation of hockey players. You know, we have a team here, but this is the first NHL team, so a big deal. And just a reminder here, we learned about this a couple of hours ago.
All right, I'm not going to sit through the promo of the KSL app. I know they do breaking news there, but not for me.
Hey, I have a special guest with us here. I mean, he's kind of involved in this whole process. NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman is
kind of a good setup there.
Here. And Gary, you said at the beginning of your remarks that you don't usually get a warm reception like this when you travel to NHL cities. You must be pretty happy with this reception.
We are thrilled to be bringing the NHL to Utah, and the reception has been warm, engaging, friendly, and enthusiastic.
When he started the press conference in Utah, they said, "Here's the commissioner, Gary Bettman," and they all cheered him. And he goes, well, when you're hockey fans long enough, you'll know that usually they boo me. Give Gary a lot of credit because that's what I was thinking when I heard that. And when he said it, I was like, all right, at least he's being honest.
Let me ask you, what impressed you most about Ryan and Ashley Smith's bid? And what has impressed you most about just being in Salt Lake City?
Is that a square microphone, by the way? I think that's one big giant wind foam covering the microphone underneath there, but I've never seen a square microphone like that. It almost looks like a mallet.
They're incredibly attached to the community. They have great support. They have the commitment, the energy, the creativity, and the resources to really make the seemingly impossible possible, and I'm grateful to them for stepping up and thrilled to be here with them.
And you know what? Honestly, like I said, this was a difficult scenario and situation in Phoenix. And it took the perfect reception of this odd-shaped puzzle piece for somebody to be out there with the money, ready to go. Here's your $1.2 or $3 billion. Here's a rink you can play in next year. We'll take this challenge under a little bit of a time crunch and pressure. So, I mean, in all honesty, say what you want about this team moving, and I'm not a fan of relocation like this at all. I did not want to see Salt Lake City get a team at the loss of Arizona losing a team. I'm just saying that the Smith family and their entertainment group, and they were very pushy, it sounds like, and Gary said that in a press conference, that they were very persistent about opportunities, availability. So I guess credit them for being persistent, but the bigger part is being ready, willing, and able to take on this challenge.
In all your years as a commissioner, 26 years, is that right?
31.
31, who's counting, right?
It's when you try and undershoot somebody's age, not how long they've done the job for.
Have you ever seen something like this come together this quickly? I mean,
No.
we're talking about a matter of months.
Well, actually, we're talking about a matter of weeks.
Wow.
The structure of the transaction and how it came about was unique. Wouldn't have happened without Ashley and Ryan's determination.
There you go.
And I've been in professional sports for more than 43 years, and there's never been a transaction quite like this one.
Flex.
Arenas are so important with new franchises. The news that came out today that they're going to renovate the Delta Center rather than build a new arena to make it, better for fans and their sight lines and kind of, make it what 17,500 was the maximum. How important is that? Instead of a new arena, you're okay with that?
Well, I'm okay with it because this is an arena with great bones. It's great for basketball. It needs some adjustments for hockey to get from 12,000 unobstructed seats to 17 plus. Although Ryan's made clear his preference is to be part of vitalizing and revitalizing downtown. There are options, other options, but dealing with the governmental leaders, the mayors, the governor, I think they're all focused on making this happen downtown.
And I wanted to ask you about...
You know what? And good for them. If this is the more financially responsible thing to do, again, I keep mentioning that $900 million, but I'm all for a building that I think went up in 1991 to get redone a few times, to keep working on the site, keep the Jazz there, now get a hockey team there. Like, that's what it's all about to me. I have firsthand experience. Take it from me going to SAP Center. That building also opened in the early 90s, 93. And it's a building where they just keep upgrading it, putting more effort into it. They take very good care of it. That, to me, is responsible stewardship of venues, is to keep updating and repairing and not replacing, but to keep maintaining good location venues instead of saying, well, we'll just tear this down because here's our $900 million, we'll build something new.
Utah fans, you work for the NBA. You know what Jazz fans are all about. You've seen the support for Real Salt Lake. How much do you think Utah fans are going to gravitate to this NHL franchise?
Well, based on the fact that there were already 22,000 plus deposits, which I never had any doubt, this is a great sports market, particularly winter sports. Our game right now is in what some people are calling a golden era. This is going to be a great marriage.
And it's kind of, you said it's not only like saving the Arizona Coyotes franchise because they had their arena problems, but it's only going to add to the league, right?
I don't know if it's saving the Arizona Coyotes.
It's not about saving because the Coyotes are now inactive and have an opportunity to reactivate. But this was a great opportunity to deal with some issues, short-term and long-term, and to go to a place that we think it's important to be at.
For fans that have never been to an NHL game, and there's many of them here in Utah, unless they went to Denver or LA, what can they expect?
Vegas.
What makes the NHL one of the most unique sporting events in the world?
Our athletes are incredible. The speed, the skill, the teamwork, the entertainment values, and we have the best competitive balance in all of sports. And if anybody has any doubt about that, start watching our playoffs tomorrow. All the playoff games are on national television.
ABC, in fact.
ABC, ESPN, a little bit on TNT as well. They're our partners. But at the end of the day, there is nothing like our sport.
He's not wrong.
That's great. Commissioner Bettman, great to have you in Utah. It's going to be an exciting time. Do you have any preference on the team name? Are you weighing in with Ryan Smith at all?
I think it's early. We've been drinking from a fire hose, and you
thought he was going to say something different there.
Need a little bit of time to do it right, not the least of which is trademark clearances.
Sure.
So if we have to go generic for a little while, I think that's the best course.
Okay. You heard it from the commissioner himself. Thanks for joining us. We'll let you talk to some other people. So there you have it. Everyone's excited. It's win-win for both Utah and the NHL. Guys, send it back to you.
Okay. I think we have one more clip here to take a look at. This is from Fox 13.
The Arizona Coyotes are preparing for what is expected to be their last game in Tempe before moving to Salt Lake.
So this report is a couple days old, but I pulled this one because I didn't watch it yet. It seemed like it was about to go in interesting places about the history of hockey in Salt Lake City.
But the city has a rich history with hockey, Salt Lake City we're talking about, predating the Grizzlies.
Joining us for a look into the past is historian Dave Sutter. Dave, so good to have you here with us. And I just learned that you play hockey yourself.
By the way, it says 4:43 on the screen, and at first I just realized, and it's 58 degrees. So this must be PM because to me, for whatever reason, it just kind of felt like it had morning show type vibes. But this is an afternoon newscast.
I sure do, have for a very long time.
So all of this news is very exciting to you, I'm sure.
Oh, it's been a dream for a very long time.
Goalie, defenseman, what do we think?
I love seeing this back here, Dave. You see the Golden Eagles and the mascot and everything. Do you kind of have in the back of your mind, I hope Ryan Smith is thinking about Golden Eagles as a name?
There goes the name obsession again. They'll get to a name. I get it. Maybe they're just really excited about it.
That would be an excellent nickname for the team because of the history of the Salt Lake Golden Eagles. They were a very successful minor league franchise here for 25 years, and whatever hockey fandom we have here in Salt Lake was probably born with the Golden Eagles. So I'd like to see that continue, if possible.
Look at that, playing at the Delta Center right there.
1969 to 1994, right?
That's right.
Now, I understand you're writing a book about the Golden Eagles.
I am.
What is that going to entail? How deep do we get into that history?
From day one until the last day the Golden Eagles were in Salt Lake and everything in between. It'll go season by season and talk about the players, the coaches, the owners, the fans, the Salt Palace, everything.
You know, a couple of thoughts on that. You mentioned the Salt Palace. They're going to play in this NHL team if they come. We'll play in the Delta Center to begin with. So that's maybe not the best arena. You think they need a new arena? And I also want to know...
Well, they're not getting one, so you better answer right. No, but they're going to fix up the Delta Center.
Did fans support the Golden Eagles?
The Golden Eagles were very well supported. When the Utah Jazz first moved here in the late 70s, there were nights when the Golden Eagles outdrew the Jazz.
Wow.
Of course, the Jazz turned that around. Obviously, they've been a very successful franchise, and so it's exciting that Ryan Smith, who owns the Jazz now, will be the owner of the new NHL team. But the Golden Eagles were a very successful franchise. They won 5 championships.
Wow.
And they, like I said before, they created whatever fan base we have, at least gave birth to it, and it's grown since that time.
And would we need a new arena?
Well, I think we do, because the Delta Center was primarily built for basketball. Larry Miller built the Delta Center with the Jazz in mind, and hockey was sort of an afterthought. So there are some obstructed view seating in the Delta Center. So I think Ryan, thankfully, wants to build an NHL standard arena that would have good sight lines for whatever the capacity would be, 16 to 18,000 fans, I would guess.
Well, it turns out they're going to figure this thing out. And I guess the good part is, with the Jazz and the hockey team playing in similar months, they can basically take all summer long whatever years upcoming they need to do the construction and get things right.
How do you think Utahns will receive an NHL team now, maybe versus back then?
Well, I know now that people are very excited. There is a real buzz going around Salt Lake and Utah in general. I've got dozens of friends that have contacted me and asked me questions about the NHL coming to Salt Lake. Some of them I can answer and some of them I can't.
What's that icing thing all about?
But I'm looking forward to being involved as much as I can with this process. And I think there are more hockey fans here than people realize.
I think so too.
Probably.
Yeah, it's exciting to hear all of this, Dave. I know you're going to be on top of it, so we really appreciate having your expertise here with us.
Been fun to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave.
All right, there you go. Some coverage from Salt Lake City and what they're saying about the arrival of this NHL franchise. Again, it's a lot of excitement. I don't mean to be too critical about anybody's work or coverage, but you can sense that excitement reigns over everything else. Eventually, they'll have some tough decisions to make, some questions, some hard questions to have to answer. And the biggest thing is, I think, the time crunch that the Smith Group is under right now to accept these players, to accept this team, to figure out and situate everybody and really get ready for training camps that start, honestly, in the month of September. We're about to be in May, so we're not very far away from that, right around the corner. Hey, you made it here all the way to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. That'll greatly help me and this video and this channel. And one more thing before you go, I would love to see you back here again next time for the next video and more of this coverage. So do me a favor, make sure you're subscribed down below. I would really appreciate that.